So the question I have is, if leadership actually listened, whether it's a GM, service manager, CEO, and you guys could tell them to pick one thing that would make the biggest difference, and you can only pick one, what would it be?
What's one thing you think would make the biggest difference?
Yeah.
Well, how about if leadership listened? And what I mean by that is, what if leaders actually studied the art of leadership? You see, our industry is full of great managers. Now, a lot of people might disagree because the industry is falling apart, but we do have great managers in this industry. Why? Because these dealerships are printing money. They're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. There's a difference between management and leadership. Management is anything you can put on a spreadsheet. Anything that has a decimal point, a percentage, a dollar sign, you can put it on an Excel spreadsheet, you can manage that. That's what managers do. They keep us in the black. That's what a manager does. A leader is something totally different. A leader is much harder to actually measure because it's not tangible what a leader is responsible for, and that is people. People decide who the leader is. We've all worked in those shops where there's a manager, and then there's that one person we go to when we actually need something, right? For me in my dealership, it was my dispatcher. I never even talked to my manager. Whenever I had a customer issue, I sent it straight to my dispatcher. I just avoided that manager like the plague because he wasn't a leader. You see, that dispatcher was a leader because he chose to take care of the people to the left of him and the right of him, because that's what leadership is. It's a choice and an action. So to answer the question directly, if leadership actually listened, I would encourage them to start studying the art of leadership and actually become a good leader. And if they did that, they would listen.
Yeah, that was like a karate kick from out of nowhere that I didn't see. So that's really, really good, and it hit home. So the question is, do you think there's any way to rebuild trust between the older techs and leadership, or has it just gone too far for those older techs, like the one I was telling you about in the beginning of this?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
Do you think there's a way to rebuild trust between techs and leadership, or is it too far gone? I really like to deal with fundamentals. That's really how I like to solve these sort of things. When I see a question like that, immediately my mind says, no, it's not too far gone, because if it was too far gone, this industry's gone, right? And the industry's still here. We have cars driving by the house every single day. So I don't think it's too far gone. I think the further you are, the further you have to go. That's a pretty logical thing to say. What it comes down to is fundamentally, how do we rebuild that trust? And I think about when I was a service advisor, I was at a CDJR dealership, and I had a technician that had a wheel off, and it was my customer. And I didn't trust that technician anymore. And then that technician kept working for us for a little while, and then a couple months went by and he didn't have any wheel offs anymore, right? He rebuilt that trust with me by following through with tightening the lug nuts, right? So how can a leader rebuild trust with any technician, even the older ones? Follow through with the things you say you're going to do. So many times it would happen to me. I worked in a dealership where we had a competition for who could sell the most alignments. I won the competition, but I didn't get the gift card because they didn't follow through. It happens all the time. So the follow through has to be there. So, and it goes back to the original question. You have to listen. You got to get that feedback. You got to make decisions based on that. That's how you get their buy-in, and that's how you know you're going to move forward positively. And when you say you're going to do those things, this happens in the dealer world. Eddie, you can probably attest to this with all your experience, but a lot of times we're really good at like solving problems. We're super bad at implementing our solutions. We'll just go right back to the same way we've always been doing it. And then we have like 3 different people working on one policy, another 3 working on another policy. Nobody really understands exactly what's going on because we don't follow through with the implementations of the solutions that we make. So that follow through has to be there. And the more frequency you have in your follow through, the more you're going to rebuild that trust.
Yeah, you are right. And I've been guilty of it. You know, it's first of the month. What can I do to sell some alignments? You throw that spiff out there, and at the end of the month, hey, I think I won that. I mean, they'll get the gift card, but I have to go, oh yeah, I'm trying to close the end of the month. I forgot about it, you know. So there's just so much talk about flat rate. I think the question is, if flat rate was never meant to be a pay plan, what do you think a fair pay plan for the system would be?
It's all going to circle back to my broken record. We need better leadership. We need leaders to get engaged and get advisors making these recommendations so we can feed our technicians. We need leaders engaged so that when we do have a guarantee of 40 hours a week and we have those technicians who are consistently flagging 25 hours a week and there's no good reason for it, we need them to get engaged and fix that so it's not causing problems on the lane with customer service and things like that. This is my theory. We've yet to prove it because we haven't quite implemented it, because from what I can see, we just don't have the leadership yet. I don't know that flat rate is a flawed system. I don't know that it's a broken system if we had actual good leaders in place that could make sure that people are actually taken care of. That's my piece.
Yeah, I think flat rate plus warranty pay is a disaster.
Yeah. I'll agree
Then
with
you're
that.
even getting less. Thank you so much for being on here, and I really appreciate it.